Hi. Hello. And welcome to another episode of my podcast. Now, what was I talking about? My name is V Noir, and this week I'm late as hell. Um, well, okay, it's like I was super prepared. I watched my movies beforehand and everything like that, but then I just ended up being tired as shit, I guess, and then not like I wanted to record this like last night and then ended up just passing out. So, yeah. But yeah, so this week I am talking about two movies, Good Boy 2025 and The Good Son from 1993, starring Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood. Two babies. They're so precious, so young in these movies. But but I'm like, do I have to be closer to the mic? Maybe. I don't know. Will I ever figure this out? Maybe. um, but anyway, so to kind of get into it, first of all, Good Boy. It is basically a horror movie through the perspective of a dog. And, like when I initially was seeing it, and I think a lot of people agree that this is kind of giving like Courage the Cowardly Dog, the animated show off of Cartoon Network from forever ago. And I've honestly brought it up a few times because I was like, I loved horror stuff as a kid, but I didn't watch the show because not because of the horror or the creepy elements, but because of Courage as a character dealing with Eustace being someone who would yell at him and all these things. And it's like, I'm trying to escape from that. I don't want this in my escapism media, so I couldn't watch it. At the time, I didn't realize that's why I couldn't watch it, but that is why I couldn't watch it. So, yes, this is the closest we're going to get to like a live action Courage the Cowardly Dog, except for, except for, the owner isn't mean to him, essentially. And to give an official um, description or like the synopsis, taken from IMDb, a loyal dog moves to a rural family home with its owner, only to discover supernatural forces lurking in the shadows. As dark entities threatens his human companion, the brave pup must fight to protect the one he loves most. Super cute. Well, super cute description. It is directed by Ben Lindbergh, who also was one of the writers on it. The other writer being Alex Cannon. And looking at their like credits, they both seem to be people that mainly did shorts. And this feels like, um, I mean, they both have director and writing experiences, but this seems like their first um full length feature, which is really cool. ND, which is the name of the dog, both in the movie and his real life name, is the director's actual dog, which is cute. And it's also a film that takes place, or it's filmed at the director's like actual house too. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is very low budget. Oh, okay. And then I keep mentioning dogs dying in movies. And the dog movie specifically, the dog does not die. The dog does not die. I'm like, I have to put that out there. The dog does not die in this movie. Thank the Lord. And honestly, I didn't necessarily want to watch this movie if he would get harmed in any way. I needed to come into it knowing that that wouldn't happen. And like I'm so glad that the people behind the movie were like, "Yes, we heard you. The dog doesn't die." I'm like, "Okay, I have to be close to the mic for my levels to be a little bit louder." And I'm like, "But it feels like I'm going to eat the mic." But I guess this is what kind of mic I have now. And that's okay. Um but yeah, it's a good movie. What else to say? It's a phenomenal film. But I really enjoyed a lot of the interactions between the dog and the owner. Um, I didn't think I would get into spoilers this quickly, but I was really struck by how much the main character looks so much like the director that I was like, wait, is that the actual director? Is the director also the lead person? I mean, honestly, I was struck by that even before um we see the guy's face, because we don't really see his face for a lot of the movie. He's in shadow for a lot of it, which was honestly kind of creepy. I was creeped out a lot by this film. There's some good like creepy moments actually. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of I can talk, I swear. I can talk, I swear. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Vocal stem. I have ADHD. But yeah, it was pretty atmospheric, honestly. There was a lot of really great cinematography. Although in the beginning, after the man moves, I'm like, I say the man moves, but does he have a name? I forgot. His name is Todd in this. Yeah, like actually, I don't even know why I was trying to remember his name or what I was trying to say. Before Todd moved to the rural area. And so it's like Todd and Vera. We start the movie off with like Todd like on the couch, and we see Indy, the dog, looking off to the corner, and there's like a shadowy figure, and that's like really creepy. And then we also see Todd not really moving, and we see his phone going off a lot, which I like that they did that a lot. I was just like the dog like being like, "Oh, what's going on with their shiny rectangular rectangle? Like what's going on here?" and stuff. And we then get this a scene of like Vera, which is Todd's sister, coming into his house and checking on him and being like, "Hey, I called you all these times. What's going on?" And then he starts to have this like seizure and he's bleeding and everything like that. And of course, it's like happening after this shadowy figure leaves his space right before the sister shows up. And so, yeah, there's definitely something going on there health wise. But I did like that in a lot of ways they were making it like the lore that they were kind of creating was just like it's something supernatural going on, but also he's sick. And now the supernatural thing could be linked to his sickness, or he's sick because of the supernatural thing. And honestly, I'm thinking about something my mom recently said to me of just like things having different spirits and stuff. Like, so an illness could have a spirit essentially. And like, not that they were going with this or anything like that, but I am reminded of something my mom recently said to me. So, but yeah, so there was kind of this play on he's getting sick, but there is this entity or thing around him, and so we do see him going to the hospital with his sister Vera and, getting checkups and everything like that and trying to see how he's doing and stuff. And Indy's around, and Indy's such a cute dog. He's such a cute dog. Oh, and it took the director 3 years to make this film because working with a dog is difficult. And honestly, filmmaking takes a long time. Uh, Truly, it does. The more and more I learn about filmmaking, it's like honestly astonishing that we even are able to make our little short 2 to 3 minute films as quickly as we can. And even then, we are given at least 1 or 2 weeks to do it. But because everyone else is because everyone is also working and other life shit. It's like, yeah, the thing that we were given 2 weeks to do, we actually have to do in 1 week. And actually, we only really have to do it in 2 days because all of our schedule, it's like all of us are also like not hella old, but we're older. So it's like, when you're in your 30s or late 20s, early 30s, and you're trying to hang out with each other, and you're just like, all right, so like, oh, I saw this video earlier. It's just like, all right, so can you hang quarter 3 next year or whatever? And it's like, oh my god, don't shut up, shut up. But I mean, it's hard, it's difficult, but we try to make it work, and it's been interesting. I think another thing that I've been doing as well is just like, yes, I want this to look good, but also it's only an assignment. We really just need to execute it in this way because that's all we're being asked to do. Like, save the energy. Like, I'm trying to save my energy for like the finals and coming up with like more interesting ideas because I think the finals are also going to give us a level of freedom that our assignments haven't really given us, because our assignments are way more restrictive. Like, I didn't really like um this one assignment because I was like, oh, this just feels so back and forth, this and that, and not exactly a fan, but narrative filmmaking, it's actually very, very precise. And honestly, a lot about uh realism too. And I'm like, I just want camp and like weird shit and like, but I think honestly, camp, I don't know. I don't, I'm like, let me not get film philosophical, but I do need to talk about something that I did learn in school that this director utilized in his movie. So it's called the Kulisov solve effect. I'm gonna post a clip of it in my Substack um of this episode of just different additional written things that I'm doing with Substack. That's how I'm going to use Substack from now on. It's just like whenever I mention a video or I come across an article or some behind the scenes interviews or something, I'm going to just put it in the Substack as like an additional thing to go along with my podcast. I'm also using it as a way to have a visual for the characters involved or like the characters and the actors involved in the movie. So, um, like if you're wondering who or what, like what somebody looked like in the movie or whatever, I'll just have it in my Substack, which should just be like substack.com/v noir, or is it v dot noir? Anyway, so the Kuloslav effect, he was a Russian he was a Russian filmmaker, specifically that was weird. Specifically, a part of like this montage art movement. There we go. I was like, what the hell is it called? Anyway, so he was basically saying that essentially when two images back and forth, um, when one image is showed and then you show another image right after, you as the viewer create like a narrative or like an idea behind what's going on. And so like as an example, and the example that he created is like you see the a blank faced man, right? And then you show a bowl of soup. Oh, this man is hungry. But then you show that same face and then uh it's like a child in a coffin. Oh, now that same man is mourning. And then another Another example right after that is same blank face man, but then the image after that is a woman. And oh, maybe he's feeling lustful. And it's like it's the same image of the man. No, he's not emoting or anything like that, but we are feeling something and creating something by seeing it juxtaposed with another image right after it. And so this effect is what the director Ben did with Good Boy, and how he used that, and like basically how our minds work and like film language and everything to film his dog Indy, show Indy with his blank face, and then something right after. And it's like, oh no, the dog's scared. And, just creating this atmosphere and things, even though in reality the dog is having a good time. Like, the dog in no way was in any harm's way at all during the making of this movie. Um, and just to go over that effect even more, apparent like Hitchcock went a bit further with the effect, and he would so it'd be it would be same blank face guy, uh, what he's looking at, but then he would go back to the guy and add a reaction shot. And he called this pure cinema. And I'm going to have both Hitchcock explaining that and the original Kurosawa. This man is not Japanese. I'm like, ooh, am I thinking about Rashomon or something? Which I did see like some Rashomon flyer recently. I think it's going to be screening at the Roxy Theater very soon or something. Which Rashomon is old movie. It's it's pretty much a classic, but it is a movie that is about, I think, I'm trying to remember. I think a crime happens basically, and we get the story of what happens through three different people's perspectives, and the story just gets retold each time, and it's like very interestingly done. But Kurosawa is a director that people have pulled from so much in general. Not just that, it's like Seven Samurai is a big one. I mean, just in general, like samurai movies are very inspirational. It's like all of Star Wars. Well, the original trilogy was inspired by like samurai film and everything. It's like samurais in space, basically. But anyway, so Ben the director utilized this concept in order to film his dog Indy and create this atmosphere. And apparently, the story was just something he's thought about of like, what his own dog might think of, and like what would happen if something like this happened to him, and like what his dog could be experiencing and things like that. So it is a story that he felt very driven to create. I did really like it. It was very atmospheric. There were some really good moments between the main guy, Todd, and Indy. And honestly, even for this movie, there's just like some really, really cute um just promotion for it. There was like a dog red carpet event. And I was just like, oh, people were able to bring their dogs to the theater because it's a dog movie. And so there was like, oh my God, I almost cried when Indy was in Hollywood and like was at the Lassie uh, Star of Fame. Like, I almost cried. I was just like, he's meeting a legend, or like seeing a legend or whatever. And like them campaigning for there to be like a dog category in the Oscars and stuff, or like an animal category. And it's like, yeah, I wish. It's like with the rise of AI, all those like campy movies that like starred dogs and stuff, but like their mouths would be animated over so they can move, or there would just be like voice actors doing the voices and the dogs wouldn't actually move anything. I'm like, can we just bring that back, please? I don't like honestly with AI, it's just like made me more appreciative of people wanting to create their ideas no matter how I was gonna say asinine, but that feels really fucked up to say. All right, asinine as a word feels fucked up, but the meaning is just like silly. But I'm like, I guess people use that word in like a condescending way, and I didn't mean that in a condescending way. It's like asinine, parentheses positive. But yeah, it's like no matter how like silly or out there their idea is, the fact that people are driven to create them and then actually do it and then have it posted somewhere like Tubi or whatever, or just online somewhere, it's just like that's inspiring. And keep doing like Neil Breen is over here in I think Arizona or wherever, a real estate agent just so he can make money to create his movies that he stars in and directs. Like, go out there and make something, like literally, like do something with your hands. I'm like, do do something creative. Like, it doesn't even have to be good, like the fact that you spent time making it is what's important. And like there's value behind that. Like, you created something. This didn't exist before you spent time to make it exist. And that is amazing. Like, truly, it's amazing. And yeah, I'm just so it's like I'm so hurt and so sad that like AI has made people devalue the arts. And I'm just like, what's the point? Like, truly, at the end of the day, what's the point? If we get to a point where, I mean, we're not, but it's like at some like if some point AI is doing everything, what the fuck would be the point in being alive? You know? Just get AI to do it. It's like, okay, so like to what end? Like, I thought we were supposed to create robots to make our lives easier so that we could do the creative things, not the other way around, right? Like, I don't understand. I thought I thought that's where we were supposed to be going, right? Like, we create machines and robots and stuff to do the more dangerous jobs so that there's no, human cost. But why are these things being created to make art? I don't get it. I don't understand. That's weird. And it's like I understand people that have like a envy towards artists, but it's also like literally all of this shit takes so much time to learn. Like, you're learning art history, you're learning techniques. It takes time. Everyone who is an artist either self taught or went to school for it. It took time for them to get good. And that's same with like writing. It takes time to get good. And if you want to be a writer, you also have to be a reader, because you'll get better at writing by reading other people's work. And I don't mean that in like a you're going to plagiarize someone's stuff, but it's like read diverse things, because you'll realize like, oh, I liked how this author wrote in this format, or ooh, I hated what they did here, but I feel like I can do something better. Honestly, even just looking at different ways of doing creative nonfiction, like that was interesting to learn about, like the different formats of which people do that. And like the for me, expanding my understanding of like the essay, because I hated writing essays in like high school or ever, but I'm like that was like 20 years ago for me, which is crazy to say. But taking this like creative nonfiction class in like college or whatever, I was just like, oh, there's more to essays than this fucking MLA format shit. Like, wow, that's crazy. Like, I actually like this. Um, and again, I hate that about public school. It's like we're forced to essentially do something the way that the system wants you to do it, and it's like a pass or fail, and you're just kind of getting funneled through until you graduate, and then you get into the real world and it's like, what the fuck did any of this even fucking matter? Because at least with a lot of like liberal arts and stuff, it's just like the foundational knowledge of like origin stories, Greek philosophy, Western, like at least in America, it's like Western civilization and understanding where like a lot of that stuff came from. Unfortunately, we don't, or at least my education growing up didn't really touch too much on like world history. Like, yes, but it was more of a glossed over thing rather than like actually talking about it. But it's also like American history is so like there's a lot. And even that wasn't really just like dived into. It's just it's frustrating. But anyway, getting back into film history or film language, honestly, Hitchcock is like super adorable. I love using adorable as a word to describe things, even if someone might not look at Hitchcock and be like, adorable where? um, but him explaining cool, the effect that I was just talking about was pretty adorable because he uses himself as the example. He's the man that's looking at something. We see what he's looking at, and then we see his reaction to that thing. And it was fun. I do need to dive more into like Hitchcock movies. Actually, I don't think I've watched too many. Either way, I'm trying not to get into spoilers of The Good Boy. I mean, Good Boy. It's not it's just Good Boy. Um, but it is a good film. We do see some B-roll of Indy as a puppy, and then you want to stay, if you do see this in theaters, even if it's on streaming, you want to get through some of the credits because the after credits is the director explaining this effect. And I was like in the theater and I was like, I'm literally going to fucking scream. But that was only because I felt like I kept talking about this effect over and over again. And then it was on the midterm and everything. And I was like, I want to get past this. But it was funny for me too to watch this movie. And I was like, oh no, the dog scare. And then I caught myself and I was like, oh no, he's just doing that effect. And then for him to explain the effect at the end was just like, I'm going to scream. But yeah, it was a good movie. I know I feel like I keep talking about movies that I say are good. And I mean, I like enjoy films. I know that things aren't for everyone, you know. I feel like I need to make a scale or something. It is October, the year's almost over. So I'm like, I think in the coming year, I will probably do like a scale or something whenever I talk about horror movies. I'm like, it is Halloween as of me recording this. This might not come out tonight, or it might come out at midnight, like right before. I do have to do this midterm quiz though. So we'll see. But um I think at least at the end of the year, I probably will do like a rating or something of like, oh, all of my favorite films that I watched. I could do like a live stream, maybe. Do one of those tier listing things that I've seen people do. That would be kind of fun. We'll see though. But yeah, that was Good Boy. Really enjoyed it. I will say that there are some moments that I was like, oh, like there are some jump scares that are pretty good that happen in this. And Indy he is a good boy. He is a good boy, and I love him. And yeah, I didn't want to really spoil the movie too bad. I don't think I do in the Substack. Hopefully not. But let's get into The Good Son. Very different movie. A dog does die in this, but we don't see it. It's off screen. Macaulay Culkin is a menace. And honestly, when I think of him young, this is the movie I think of. I do not think of Home Alone. I've seen Home Alone maybe like once or twice growing up, but I've definitely seen this movie. Honestly, I might have only seen this movie once because it was on VHS, but he was so like creepy and scary to me that I was like, that's enough. And funny enough, apparently Home Alone 2 wouldn't have existed if he wasn't in this film, which is hilarious to me. And then his dad manager was like, and you're going to put his sister in this, and you're going to put my youngest born, who we're just going to use his photo. Bam. And they just had to do that, which is hella funny to me. But anyway, just to get into the good boy, the good boy, the good son synopsis, specifically, taken from IMDb. A young boy stays with his aunt and uncle and becomes friends with his cousin, a boy of the same age who shows increasing signs of violent and psychopathic behavior. So it's like I remember the violent and psychopathic behavior or whatever coming from Macaulay Culkin's character, but I couldn't remember like literally anything else. So the catalyst to all of this is Elijah Wood's character, played by Mark, losing his mom in the very beginning of the movie and feeling guilty about her dying because he promised her that he would save her, essentially, or not, cause her to not die. And she ended up dying still anyway. And that created guilt for him. And he was quiet and closed off. And his dad um, was feeling really remorseful and sad and was just like, I don't know what I can do for my son. He doesn't want to open up. He doesn't want to talk about this. And so his dad's brother was like, how about he come stay with us over in Maine? I think they were going to Maine. And I was like, oh no, not Maine, not Stephen King's horror filled neighborhood. But so they do this cross country trip where he's trying to, get Mark to open up and he still doesn't. And so after that, they do get there. Oh, so the whole point of him staying with his uncle, not only for him to be around his cousin who's the same age, and his cousin is Macaulay Culkin, of course, but his name is Henry, so I'm going to just call him Henry for the remainder of this, Mark and Henry. But so another thing that was happening was his Mark's dad got this offer that he needed to go do in Seattle, and essentially it was like an offer or promotion or something, essentially a way for him to prove himself that would get him more money and also have both him and Mark set for life, essentially. So it's like a really, really important thing that he had to do for work. But it's also like, I don't want to leave my grieving son by himself. And that's when the brother steps in and was like, yeah, just have him stay with us. You're only going to be gone for 2 weeks. It should be fine. Yada, yada. And so, yeah, I was just like, oh, I didn't remember this very dark sort of intro or like opening to everything where we are dealing with Mark grieving his mom and then coming to live with his cousin, and then his cousin's like, you know, not prim and proper, but uh he sort of behaves in a way that's like, oh, he's just a good kid, but he's up to no good essentially. Like he has his outhouse and his tree house that he's like, my my sister and parents should never see this stuff. But it's like obviously the parents are allowing him to have this level of privacy because privacy is important for children to gain a sense of self and stuff. But they don't realize that he's like creating weapons and shit. Um and so I was also like, damn, so this is the kind of shit, kids were up to when they were allowed to like more freely roam before the onset of 24-hour news and everything like that. Because it's like, yeah, people used to let their kids just be out and moving around and do whatever. And I'm like, that wasn't even that long ago, but it still feels weird. And it's like, I have an experience of sort of being not isolated, but I just wasn't really, I was very sheltered. And I wasn't given as much freedom as like my brothers. So I just was like, okay, I'm gonna stay in the house. So I don't have that experience of just going out and doing whatever. But let's not talk about my upbringing right now. But I do know that, like, because of the fears and anxieties that parents have now, especially because of the news and everything like that, there is more of a stronghold on like what their kids do and stuff. So, I mean, and then there's the fact that there's no longer that many like third spaces for kids to even go to. And I'm saying like kids like from like preteen, like 10 or something, up to like high school age. And it's like, especially like in San Francisco, it's like there's a dead mall. Like here, like there's nothing to do. There's no arcades. The arcades that do exist are for adults because they're in bars. Like, what are we doing here? Like, movies are really expensive. Like, people are paying upwards of $30 for like a late night, like it's not affordable. I mean, bowling still exists, but and I love bowling. I haven't gone bowling in forever. But still, it's just like there's not, I mean, even thinking about like musicians and like artists that are specifically being catered to teens and young people as a demographic, it's like they have to sort of latch on to older people's media essentially. Even the stuff being made for them like through television and stuff is still like more explicit than it needs to be. Because I'm like, I was looking at the Degrassi New Next Generation with my roommate, and it's like a show I haven't actually watched before, but I do know of it because Drake was in it. And I'm like, oh, look at Drake, looking how I remember he looked. Which is why I didn't really believe in the facade he was like portraying himself as a musician. But either way, it's like, yeah, those were like kids playing kids, and they were having kid related, issues. I mean, even though it's like um stuff that was like a little bit more, some stuff that was like kind of raunchy. Like there was this character going through like kind of a sexual awakening of not wanting to be cute anymore, but being seen as like sexy or grown. And it's like, yeah, that's shit that kids do go through because it's like they want to be attractive to the people that they're attracted to. So they feel like wanting to change themselves. Like that is the reality. Like that is something that happens. And I remember even feeling that way as a teen, but then I was like, well, fuck that. I like quickly was like, no, that's okay. I'm not going to change myself just to match the likes of another person because the person that they're attracted to after that isn't me. So why go through all that trouble? Like that's how I felt about that. I was just like, no, whoever, like, people are going to like me for me. And if you don't like me, it's whatever. Like, I'm not going to be everyone's like favorite person. Like, that's fine. Even though I did have like a people pleaser like phase at some point, but it's like I grew out of it. It took a while. I was like in my 20s. I had to get over that shit. But but yeah, so I was really struck by like Elijah Wood's like very dramatic and like I felt very real his grief and sadness over his mom. I was just like, "Oh my god, Elijah is like acting. He is acting down." And he was acting so well and I'm like, "Yeah, so this is why he is a recognized actor, like somebody who started as a kid actor and grew into more dramatic acting. He did the Lord of the Rings, but he's still doing other stuff. And Macaulay Culkin did a really good job as well. I mean, like some stuff, it was just like, okay. I feel like you're doing a little too much here of just like, I don't know what you're talking about, mom. I know he was being sarcastic, but it was just like, he could have had a more subdued performance there, or like I don't know, it could have been a little different. But Elijah Wood was really, really good. And even like his sister Mar no, even Macaulay Culkin's sister playing his sister, which is really funny. She did a really good job as well of not necessarily like fear or anything, but just playing a kid, honestly. And I'm like, yeah, she didn't really have to do too much for that. But haha, it is now November 1st. It is no longer Halloween, and I am still recording this. I am hopefully I'll be done soon, I think. But either way, so slowly but surely, Mark is seeing Henry do more and more stuff that's a little like, I don't think this is right. What are you doing? He's also been going to these therapy sessions where he doesn't really want to open up, and uh at some point that turns against him because he's not opening up and people don't know him. Henry's able to like be like, he's been doing crazy and weird stuff. And I'm kind of scared. And it's like, Henry, you're the one doing these things, but now you're gonna blame it on Mark. Oh, I see how it is. Fuck you. Oh, actually, okay, and we do get Macaulay Culkin cursing in this. He's just like, don't fuck with me. So good, so funny. But yeah, so it's like because Mark isn't opening up. People don't really know who he is as a person. And it's like, this is Henry's neighborhood. People know him. Of course, the first big thing that happens is that he's creating this like cross crossbow to that shoots like these metal nails, essentially bolts. They shoot metal bolts, and he's like, dang, the sight's off. And because he tries to shoot this dog and it misses, and then we come back to it and he fixed it and actually does end up shooting the dog. I should have put a content. I should have warned that I was about to say that, but I did mention that a dog is killed before, and I'm sorry that I just went into that because I was remembering the plot and not actually like I was thinking while also talking, so I wasn't hearing what I was saying, if that makes sense. ADHD, I don't know. So sorry. Um we don't see the dog death. It's off screen. And this is when Mark's like really freaked the fuck out. And um but I'm trying to remember. I think Henry is just like, oh, well, I didn't know that would happen. I'm sorry. And so Mark's like, okay. And then Henry's like, okay, let's go do this other thing. And so Henry has this like dummy that he made. He's calling him Highwayman. And this is like a big thing that happens. And it's the thing that's like sat with me since I was a child and initially like saw this movie. But him and Mark take Highwayman up to a bridge and they Henry sits Highwayman on like the bridge wall essentially. And he's like, "Oh, Highwayman, you're so tired of living. Well, goodbye," or whatever, and like pushes the dummy into the traffic. Or he pushes the dummy off the bridge and it falls into ongoing traffic, which causes this big accident of all these cars like piling up and stuff. And we just see Henry's face just like completely enjoying this and being like, wow, another one, another one. And Mark's just like horrified that this could happen. And he runs off and they're running. And then the police show up and they run into the woods. And Mark's just like, I didn't know that was going to happen. Like, what was that? I didn't know this was going to happen. He was going to go off and tell Henry's mom and everything what happened. And Mark's no. And then Henry's just like, what do you mean? You didn't know that was going to happen? We did it together. So if you tell on me, I'm going to tell them that it was your idea. And he started like working on how he would show his emotion about this and like in Mark's face. So Mark was like, fuck, I'm literally fucked. I mean, he's a kid. He didn't say that. But his face displayed that sort of reaction of just like, this boy is crazy. So he realizes he can't go to the parents. Then he tries to go to the therapist, and Henry beats him to the therapist first. And this is what I mean, where Henry turns like everyone's behavior around Mark against him. Because now this is when Henry's just like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Mark, but he's been doing some weird stuff. Oh my God. Thank you for the soda. So he has nowhere to turn. Oh man, I forgot about this, but like Mark's dad called to check on him, but Henry answered the phone and Henry was just like, oh no, he doesn't want to talk to you. No, he likes it here. He actually wants to stay. Like, don't worry about him. And like never told Mark that his dad called or anything like that. And so when Mark tries to call his dad and be like, hey, like something's going on with Henry, I don't like it, I don't want to be here. His dad is just like, huh, what's going on? I'm so confused. Ooh, and another thing I forgot to mention was like it was implied heavily that Henry had killed his like kid brother, or it was hinted at that Henry killed his kid brother Richard, but his mom is like eating up at the guilt because she thinks that by leaving him alone in the tub by himself with less than 6 inches of water, that it's her fault that in that time of leaving, that yeah, like it was her fault that he just like fell and like drowned or whatever. And it's like, yeah, so then Henry starts talking about how he killed Richard to Mark. And that's like also another thing that's leading up to Mark being like, uh, I don't like this. You're crazy. And so, you can kind of infer that the whole reason that Richard was murdered was because Henry's things were given to Richard, and that caused him to be jealous and angry and kind of snap and kill him. And so I think another thing too was like it was like a warning for us as the audience, because Henry was telling his parents like, oh, Mark really wants Richard's room, and it's like, or like to be in a room by himself. And I was like, haha, you're just saying you want to kill Mark, but the parents don't know that you killed Richard, so they just think he wants this room for whatever reason, even though they're not actually listening to Mark when he's like, no, I don't want the room actually. And Henry's dad is just like, like it's become a museum. We're gonna have to change it anyway. Like it's fine. And it's honestly, with how she was behaving, it felt very fresh that Richard might have like passed away. So I was just like, I don't know. And like I kind of said all the way in the beginning of this, it's just a photo of the boy. It's not, we don't actually see the boy or anything like that. And that's how Macaulay Culkin's dad got his youngest to be in this movie too, just his photo, which is hella funny. But so there's like this touching moment between Susan, which is Henry's mom's name, and Mark. And so Mark just all of a sudden is just like, oh no, Susan is my mom. My mom said she would always be with me. And she's come back to me as your mom. So now she's my mom, actually. And I'm going to protect her. And it was just like, you could see that Henry was like, I'm going to kill something. At first, he goes after his kid sister, Connie, who man, this was fucked. The parents had like decided to have a date night that they planned, and Mark's like, "Oh my god, please don't leave. Oh my god, please don't leave. He's gonna fucking kill Connie," which is the name of the sister, uh, Macaulay Culkin's real sister. And they leave anyway, and Henry's just to Connie, just like, "We should play hide and seek," and Henry's just like to Mark, "Oh, you think I would hurt my own sister?" Macaulay Culkin is acting. I think he's having a lot of fun probably playing this character. And as I was like trying to look up articles and stuff, I was seeing people say that this is like the extended dark version of Home Alone, which is hella funny too, because it's like he is building all these things and causing havoc, but he's doing it on purpose because to him, he's like, when you realize you can do anything, what's the point? Just do whatever. But it's like yes, free will, but also you're going about it all wrong. Like you're literally like bringing harm to people and not understanding that, like he can and he can't. And so Connie survives the night and because of Mark. But then the next morning, Mark finds out that Henry took Connie to go ice skating and he just runs off because he's like, fuck, he's gonna do something to her on the ice rink. And we see this phenomenal scene in how it's shot, not the actual context of the shot. Because it's a really good like tracking shot of Mark trying to run and catch up to them. He doesn't have any ice skates on. And then it's like a beautiful shot of Henry and Connie going around ice skating and stuff. And he's just like, and they kept going faster and faster. And then he let her go and she went flying into the area on the ice. And this is like a frozen lake situation, not like an ice rink. So she went flying into the part of the lake that was on the thinner side and more dangerous for people to skate on top of, and she ends up falling through the ice. I was like, how did they film this? Because that definitely looks like her still, but either way, so Connie is like underwater and she's like, help, help. And Henry's like, oh, here, let me limply give you my hand, but I'm not going to actually try to save you. And the adults aren't really around. Um, and she like sinks and then tries to float up again. And what sucks about, being under ice is that you're under ice. So they could see her, but they had to like, hammer through the ice to get to her. And all of this is happening while Mark can see. but he is too far away to like fully see that Henry wasn't putting in any effort. And so finally, after this incident, Mark comes up to Susan and is just like, "Hey, Henry isn't the kind of kid you think. I think he did try to harm Connie," and doesn't explicitly tell her about Richard, but kind of implies that he might have done something to Richard. And so Susan is kind of suspicious, and checks out his hideout for like the first time. And she is looking around, things fall, and she sees this rubber duck that was Richard's, or it was in the bathtub with Richard. And she's just like to Henry, because Henry shows up, of course. He does that creepy, like, horror villain thing of just showing up with no sound. And she's just like, "Oh, how did you have this rubber duck? I hadn't seen this since like the thing that happened with Richard." I don't think she said the thing, but I'm paraphrasing. And he's like, "This was my duck, actually. It's mine. I don't know what you're talking about." And, Susan's just like, "Haha, haha, that was weird." And so now we see Henry being like crying in the mirror and all this stuff. And he's talking to Mark and he's like, "So, like, you cried, right? At your mom's funeral, right? Like, do I look like a person who's like grieving their mom?" And Mark's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And then, of course, wait, I can't remember if Henry was like, "I'm gonna kill Susan," but that's essentially his plan now. Actually, no, he does tell Mark. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill my mom because she's my mom, not your mom. And now that you're trying to stake a claim on her, she has to go." So yeah, now Mark's like, "Fuck," and Susan and Henry go on a little walk before Mark could warn her about what Henry was planning. Oh, actually, okay. Mark thought that Henry was going to poison everyone, so he got rid of all the food in the fridge, and that just caused everyone to be like, "Your behavior is really erratic. I don't know what's going on." And people are again like being like, "I don't know what's going on with Mark. That's weird." And so, yeah, we're nearing the end of the film. Susan and Henry are out for a walk. They're going to this cliff that they're getting near to I can't talk. They are getting close to this cliff that Susan would go to contemplate life and the passing of Richard and everything like that. And she asks Henry, "Did you have anything to do with Richard?" And Henry's just like, "If I did, what what would you do? You like when you put me in one of those places?" Like because she was just like, "We would get you help. Like we would try to help you." And Henry's just like, "You're gonna put me in one of those places. I don't want that," and runs off. And she thinks he like tries to jump off the cliff. And Henry is like comes out of the bushes and he's like, "You don't know anything about me, Mom." And then pushes her and she like falls off the cliff. Well, she slides down, but she doesn't like fall to the ground. And then after this, Mark comes out of nowhere too, and they start tussling. Oh, I don't know why I said tussling. They start fighting on the cliff, and like it's very dramatic and stuff. And then Susan is able to get back up, but then the boys fall over, and she's trying to hold on to both of them. And then I'm like, I just realized I'm just like saying the movie and basically about to spoil the ending, but I'm already there. I didn't want to spoil the ending of Good Boy because that is a movie that just came out. Um, but man, I did almost cry. I was about to cry with Good Boy's ending, and then I was brought back from not crying because of how funny and cute it was for the director to film Indy. because we got those behind the scenes at the end of the credits. So I was like, okay, you stopped me from like literally crying in public. Thank you. That was funny. But this is a movie that came out 32 years ago. And so yeah, I'm gonna spoil it. Susan is holding both the boys' arms. Henry is begging in his most precious, perfect sounding son voice to be saved by his mom. Mark is just struggling. Susan lets go of Henry's hand and saves Mark. And that's kind of the end of the movie. Ends with like a monologue from Mark of being like, I think about that day. I don't know if she would make that same decision. And it sucks. Yeah. No, that movie was fucked, man. I was just like, that movie, literally the highway scene and like Henry's death at the end were the two things that sat with me, and that's why I'm like, if I think of a young Macaulay Culkin, I don't think about Home Alone. I think about his performance in this movie because it is really good, and I also think about like Elijah Wood and how good he does in this movie as well. But okay, I'm gonna end it here. I have a Substack. I'm gonna have a Substack for this episode and all of my previous episodes, and they'll have like extra like article clippings. I say article clippings, but I mean like quotes from articles that I find interesting and relevant to the movies I talk about. I'll have like a character chart and maybe behind the scenes stuff that I find, or just anything like that. Trailers are going to be up there too. All kinds of fun stuff. I'm like still figuring out the format, but it's been pretty fun. My Substack is vnoir.substack.com. Follow me on Instagram, the thing that I don't really post as much. Oh, but Instagram, v underscore noir underscore. And I actually used I will be using my Substack to also post notes on if my podcast is late or anything like that. I think all of my articles will be free, but I think the chat part of Substack I will have be like the paid thing. Just so like if you wanted to talk to me, it would be through that or through my Patreon, which is patreon.com/vnoirs film club. Uh, Check out the podcast archive at www.nwwitapod.com. I haven't streamed on Twitch in a while. We're still figuring that out. I got burnt out from playing the games that I was playing, so I think I might end up just streaming on Twitch like once a month or something, because I was trying to do it twice a week, but I think doing once a month but one longer stream might be ideal for me. So that'll be fun. And there's been like new games that have been coming out or coming to my attention. And I'm like, that will be fun to check out. But my Twitch is v underscore noir there as well. And yeah, I will see y'all next time. I'm probably going to talk about the new Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein movie. Bye.